Welcome to Cricket World TV Hotspot. Happy New Year, everybody, and Happy New Year to Chetan, who's out there in Sydney for us. Happy New Year, Chetan.
A very happy New Year to all our viewers, and happy New Year to you as well, John. It was quite some show here in Sydney. I was there at the harbour. 1.6 million people can you believe it? Packed, and a 12-minute fireworks blast, the works basically, and that's how you bring in the new year. That's one thing I've learned.
That certainly is, and I must apologise for viewers. I've got a bit of a croaky voice. That's not from overdoing it, I hasten to add. That's a bit of a sore throat that I've managed to pick up, unfortunately. So, Chetan, you're going to be doing most of the talking today, I think. Let's just start off by reviewing, I suppose, the third test in Melbourne. And we had a great test match in Adelaide, but this one really wasn't anywhere near as exciting, was it? And we're going to talk about what happened afterwards in a bit more detail a little bit later. Just sort of review that test for us from your point of view.
Yes, I mean, day 5 turned up to be very dramatic, very intense, but all the drama, as you mentioned, was there for after when the match got over. But yes, talking about the match, first of all, I think India, like they have been doing throughout the series, they fought well in patches. They were very inconsistent with both their batting and their bowling, and that has really impacted them in the series. You can see they're playing a very aggressive mode of cricket. They're doing well, at least better than what they did in England or perhaps New Zealand and South Africa. They have taken that one step further in their perhaps this road of experience, of gaining experience in international cricket, in overseas Test cricket, and perhaps, but the inconsistent patches still remain, and that is a big worry, and that is the reason why they have not been able to win a test match in this series so far, despite coming very close in Adelaide. In Brisbane also they challenged, but not able to get to the final end result of it. Talking about this particular test match, like I said, they were very inconsistent. For example, in day 1, the first session, very inconsistent bowling. They came back well on day 2, in session 2 and 3. In day 2, just let that go completely. Steve Smith, in the form of his life, they just can't get him out. 500 plus runs at Melbourne, you're always under pressure. But then what a partnership between Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane. I think 2 of the finest batsmen we have seen in recent times for India. Murali Vijay being the third. Cheteshwar Pujara has just gone downhill overseas, and it's perhaps a little inexplicable, but Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane, what a partnership. I mean, Ajinkya Rahane has been the star of India's overseas calendar year. There has been no doubt about that. He almost got 100 in South Africa, got his maiden ton in New Zealand, that wonderful, wonderful century in England at Lord's. That was the key factor in India winning that test match. And he started aggressively in all of his innings here in Australia so far, and you could see that intent out there in Melbourne, and because of that, it just took so much pressure off Virat Kohli. And you know, when you have somebody out there who's scoring 50 runs or 40 balls, then somebody like Virat Kohli at the other end, it just takes the pressure off. Virat Kohli can just do his own thing, and like I said, what a wonderful partnership. I want to mention a fact here. None of the Australian batsmen ever have put on 200 plus runs for the 4th wicket at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, and Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane broke that record. I mean, that is just brilliant batting. It was one of those partnerships that you remember for a long, long time. And what do you say about Virat Kohli? I mean, tremendous player, tremendously gifted player. He's changed his stance towards the offside a little bit, as he admitted in the press conference. That's helped him perhaps in the technical flaws that had come into his game from the England tour. And you've seen it. Already 3 centuries, 3 test centuries this series. His 4th test 100 in Australia. Wonderful player. And now, and then of course we will come to the fact that he's now India's test skipper. And then of course, where India again, they came to bowl the next day, and they did very well, because had they bowled poorly, as in the first innings, the game would have just gone. Australia would have got their declaration and would have set a target immediately on it, like they did in Adelaide. But no, they bowled with control, they bowled well. I think R. Ashwin has perhaps bowled the best test match of his life so far. I mean, obviously you get help in India, you pick up 13 wickets, 15 wickets in a match. All that is very good. But the test of a bowler, particularly of a spinner who's not played too much cricket in the last 1 year, he's just come on, and bowled with such immaculate control. The bowler of the match, the standout bowler of the match for me, and I think, like I said, his best bowling spell in Test cricket, or best bowling performance in Test cricket so far. Um, but on day 5, there were a lot of factors. There was rain around. Australia didn't want to declare quickly enough because a wet ball would have meant they wouldn't be able to get reverse swing. The pitch hadn't broken down as much as it did in Adelaide, nor was variation in bounce like there was in Brisbane. Remember, Brisbane only went to day 4, and I do believe if India had 200 runs on board, they would have challenged in Brisbane because of the variable bounce. It was just so much variable bounce we saw. I mean, Australia were 120 for 6, so another 50 runs, and the Australian tail would have had it tough, despite their record, I mean, of scoring so many runs against this Indian bowling attack. But again, coming to this particular Test match, so the pitch didn't break up enough, and there were rain breaks, and Australia didn't want a ball that was not reversing, so they kept on batting, and I think India could have bowled with much more intentions. They could have taken the second new ball, let them get their runs quickly, so that they could have also, because they needed to win the match. Australia did, as it proved, didn't have to win that match. It was India who needed to win that match. Another top order collapse for India, and they were trying to rescue themselves afterwards. Perhaps if Australia had 20 more overs or perhaps a more helpful wicket, we might have had a result. But like I said, day 5 was well set to be a dramatic day, but then nothing prepared us for what came afterwards.
Let's talk about MS Dhoni then. He's announced his retirement from Test cricket, and if I'm right, Chetan, he didn't say anything in his press conference, but he sort of released it afterwards as a sort of press release. So that led to a pretty long day for you guys. I'm guessing that you guys in the media haven't yet had a chance to actually ask him any questions about it, have you?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll just go through it one by one. So what happened there was, we had the post press conference and a television press conference, and then he came to the print media, and it was like half an hour's gap, perhaps. What I've learned is that he decided during that time, and he informed the BCCI officials. He hadn't informed his team then. Or I don't know, maybe he had spoken to a couple of players, but the thing is that he did not want to reveal it in the media session because he didn't want the spotlight to be taken away from the Test match. Perhaps he could have made an announcement after the press conference got over or something like that, but no, he is that sort of person. He doesn't give the media a lot of importance. He's not done that for the last, I don't know how many years, from the very day he became captain. He's not done that. Anyway, so yeah, we didn't have an inkling. Then there was a 5-minute gap. There was a Darren Lehman press conference. I attended that as well. So a good 30-45 minutes passed, and I come to my work desk and I open my inbox, and I'm just starting to get down to work when there's a new email that lands, and I just click it, and bang, 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 there's MS Dhoni has retired from Test cricket, and that was intense. I mean, we expected him to maybe take such a step after the series had gotten over, but to do it in the middle of the series, there has been a lot of criticism about this, but I personally think that it's a decent decision. It's not. I wouldn't want to go on criticize him because you never know when a player wants to retire. It just comes to you. I mean, we saw Graham Swan did that last year as well. That series was lost there as well. But I think MS Dhoni was waiting for something like that in England. After India had lost 3-1, I had asked him this question if he had taken Indian Test cricket as far as he had, and he said yes. And maybe, who knows, if the West Indies Test series would have happened at home, maybe Virat Kohli would have been captain then. Maybe he would have told the selectors then, or maybe he was just waiting for this overseas calendar to get over, and maybe he was waiting for somebody to come up, as a successor, as a proper successor. Because last year, when India started this term, when India lost against England at home, we did not. I mean, everybody wanted Virat Kohli to be captain, but let's face it, he was very young. He was not ready. He was just getting into his own as a batsman. The Virat Kohli from 2013 and Virat Kohli, the batsman from 2013, and now is very, very different. He's a star batsman now. At that time, he was just trying to grow into a star batsman. So And we saw in the Adelaide Test, he's absolutely ready to take over that mantle, and Dhoni realized that the series is gone. He he's somebody who plays non-stop cricket. He's a wicket-keeper, he's a batsman, he's a captain. He plays non-stop cricket. So from his point of view, now he has 10 days off before he starts thinking about the Tri-Series. Then he starts thinking about the ODI World Cup defense. It's an important ODI World Cup. I mean, for India, they won the Champions Trophy in England, so they are contenders. Obviously, India are always contenders. So, he probably would have loved this time. I think it's a decent decision. I think it's a good decision. And despite the figures not being there, I mean, in his captaincy overseas, particularly, 8-0 loss, and then losing in South Africa, New Zealand, England, now in Australia again. Let me just say that, statistics always don't tell the story. Yes, his Test captaincy has been poor. At times, he's been an average Test captain. He's not the greatest of Test batsmen himself. He's not the best wicketkeeper. But MS Dhoni has been an exceptional cricketer for India. Let's all respect that. He doesn't want to play Test cricket anymore. Let's all respect that. Like I said, statistics always don't tell the story. 8-0 didn't tell the story that India were in terminal decline when series loss in South Africa, series lost in England, series loss in Australia. That also doesn't tell the story that this is a team which is learning overseas Test cricket. So, a lot of losses for him overseas. One loss at him at home, big loss for him at home as well. Statistics always don't tell the story, but MS Dhoni can be very proud of what he did in Test for India, certainly.
Yes, I echo pretty much everything you say there, Chet, and you covered a lot of the points I wanted to sort of ask you about. And I was sort of looking at it from an English point of view. I mean, there's been a little bit of surprise, I suppose. He's gone 3 tests in, but then you think about it, Ian Botham resigned halfway through a series. Hussain stepped down during the series, and so did Michael Vaughan. So from an English point of view, it's not such a surprise. And you've spoken to captains, you've written a brilliant book about captaincy. I've spoken to captains, and they all say that when it's time to go, they just know, don't they? And if it happens to be in the middle of the series, then there's almost no point carrying on. So I imagine that's where MS Dhoni's got to, and he captains everything. Chennai, captains in all formats, so he's got an awful lot on his plate, and obviously still got a lot to give to the game. So yeah, a fantastic servant of Indian cricket. He'll go on, I'm sure, in one-day cricket and play 2020. The usual flash and brilliance as well. So just to finish, let's just look ahead to the Melbourne Test. What can we expect here? Australia have called up Ashton Agar. Do you think India will make any changes? Will they persist with KL Rahul in the middle order?
Well, first of all, it's a Sydney Test. just to correct you there, Sydney Test. The final match of the series. Yes, Australia have brought in Ashton Agar into their squad. It's not confirmed yet whether he will play or not, because because like Darren Lehman and Steve Smith both said, it's a decision they've taken depending on what sort of pitch they'll get here at the SCG, whether it'll be a turning pitch or it'll be a seaming wicket. Last year it was a seaming wicket. Before that, I mean, traditionally Sydney is a turning wicket, so they just want to be ready for both options. Maybe they'll go in with 2 spinners if it's a dry turning wicket. Maybe it's just a seaming wicket. Then they'll probably choose whether they want to go with Leon or whether they want to go with Ashton Agar. I don't see why they will not go with Leon, but you never know how it works in cricket. So they just want to give themselves an option. Talking about the changes that India will have, yes, there's going to be a big change. There's going to be a new Test captain and a new full-time Test captain. It's going to be like Adelaide, where Virat Kohli had just a one-off match and he could just go back, concentrate on his batting. Now he is the captain. He has to think about it all the time. He will also want to reflect on what happened in Adelaide. He's a fiery character, very aggressive personality. And this series has been boiling quite a bit. So he will want to take all of those things into consideration. It's been a nice 7-day gap between the Test matches. Taking it off. Playing on Sunday. So yeah, I'm talking about the changes. Like I said, KL Rahul obviously is a long-term prospect for India. I didn't really agree with the selection to bat at number 6. Batting at number 3 in the second innings was the fact that they were chasing a total score, so they wanted to see things didn't go, and they would have Pujara in the middle order, and he would just block out as it transpired. But new captain, maybe they'll say, okay, KL Rahul needs to bat in the top order, so maybe we'll drop him, maybe bring a middle order batsman in, maybe somebody like Suresh Raina. It's interesting because now the thing is, with MS Dhoni gone, you know, say what you will about him as a Test cricketer, he was a good batsman. I mean, the big question for India here is they play Saha as the number 6 batsman, go in with 5 bowlers. What happens when India want to go in with 5 bowlers? That's the big question. Will they trust Saha to bat at number 6? Because MS Dhoni being the captain himself, that was what he did. He took that pressure onto himself and he batted at number 6. That was what MS Dhoni did. And you can criticize him all you want. So that's the big question for India. Whether if it's a spin track, whether they play 2 spinners, I doubt that because you have to play 3 medium pacers.
We were doing so well there, weren't we, with Chetan? We'd almost got through the whole hotspot without any technical interruptions, but it looks like we've lost him. I mean, we were coming towards the end of the show anyway, with looking ahead to the Sydney Test, as he quite rightly corrected me there. So that's not a great start to the new year for me, but there we go. Yes, interesting stuff with Dhoni. He's just making the point there that he took on the responsibility of batting at number 6, and the question for India is whether they can trust Riddhiman Sahar or Namanoj to bat at number 6, and if they want to play 5 bowlers, which, going into a Test match that they would want to win. The series has gone, of course, but they would want to win the Test match to finish strongly and end the tour in a positive fashion. It may well be that they want to try and go 5 bowlers. So some interesting questions for the Indian selectors to think about there. So I think if Chetan hasn't come back, let's just see if we can. It doesn't look like he's with us, doesn't he? Unfortunately. So I think what I'll do there is say, well, that's it from Hotspot, because we were just about coming towards the end of the show with his look ahead to Sydney. Enjoy the Test match, everybody. Have a very happy New Year from all of us here at Cricket World. Thank you very much for watching, and do join us again soon.